Module 2, the European Institutional Framework and EU competences. The treaties of the European Union are the texts that define the objectives, the rules governing its institutions, the way decisions are taken, and the distribution of powers between the member states and the European Union. Under the treaties, the member states delegate powers to the European institutions in accordance with the principle of donor powers. In accordance with this principle, the Union acts only within the limits of the powers conferred on it by the member states by the treaties in order to achieve the objectives set out in the treaties. Any authority not conferred on the Union by the treaties belongs to the member states. These competences are of a temporary nature, since the member states, as masters of the treaties, can reform them and give more or fewer competences to the European Union. The exercise of the Union's competences is governed by two other principles: the principle of subsidiarity and the principle of proportionality. The competences that the member states confer on the European Union fall into three categories: exclusive competences, where the European Union has the right to legislate and adopt binding acts, and to negotiate and conclude international agreements on behalf of the Union. These include the customs union, competition policy for the functioning of the internal market, monetary policy for the euro area, rules on the conservation of marine biological resources under the common fisheries policy and the common commercial policy. Concurrent competences, in which the European Union and the member states may legislate and adopt legally binding acts. These are internal market, social policy, economic, social and territorial cohesion, agriculture and fisheries, environment, consumer protection, transport policy, trans-European networks, energy policy, rules on the area of freedom, security and justice, public health security, research, technological development and space, and development cooperation and humanitarian aid. Supporting or coordinating competences, where the European Union can support, coordinate, or complement the action of the member states. In this case, the practice of adopting soft law acts, i.e., mainly recommendations, by the Council of Ministers and resolutions by the European Parliament is followed, acts which have a political commitment but no legal force. These concern the protection and improvement of human health, industry, culture, tourism, education, vocational training, youth and sport, civil protection, and administrative cooperation. The principle of subsidiarity applies to the division of competences between the European Union and the member states. The subsidiarity principle aims to ensure that competences are exercised as closely as possible to the citizen and applies where the Union does not have exclusive competences. The principle of proportionality also applies in the exercise of the European Union's competences. The purpose of the proportionality principle is to limit the actions of the European Union institutions so that they are the most appropriate to achieve the objective pursued without being excessive in terms of the burden on citizens. The institutions of the European Union. The main institutions of the EU are 7, Article 13 of the Treaty on European Union. The European Parliament, the European Council, the European Commission, hereinafter referred to as the Commission, the Court of Justice of the European Union, the European Central Bank, the Court of Auditors. The European Parliament, the Council and the Commission shall be assisted by the Economic and Social Committee and the Committee of the Regions, which shall have advisory status. The European Parliament is composed of representatives of the citizens of the European Union and, together with the Council, exercises legislative power at the level of the European Union. MEPs are elected by direct universal, free and secret ballot, and their term of office is 5 years. Its president is elected for a renewable term of 2.5 years. The three main powers of the European Parliament are as follows. It is a co-legislator with the Council of the European Union. It exercises democratic control over all the institutions of the European Union. It draws up the Union's budget, together with the Council of Ministers, and approves the long-term budget. The European Council is made up of the heads of state or government, the President of the European Council, and the President of the European Commission. It meets regularly 4 times a year and informally when serious issues arise. Its president is elected for a 2.5-year term of office by qualified majority. The European Council sets the general guidelines and political priorities of the Union. It does not negotiate or adopt European legislation. The Council of the European Union is made up of the ministers of the member states. Its presidency is a rotating presidency held by each member state for a period of 6 months. The member states holding the presidency work closely together in groups of 3, the so-called trio of presidencies. The Council has 10 configurations and an informal Eurogroup. Each country is represented by the minister responsible for the subject in question. The Council of the European Union is the main political decision-making body of the European Union. It adopts legislation, usually in cooperation with the European Parliament, coordinates the general economic policy of the member states, defines and implements the common foreign and security policy of the European Union on the basis of guidelines laid down by the European Council, coordinates the actions of the member states, and adopts measures in the framework of police and judicial cooperation in criminal matters. Together with the European Parliament, it is the budgetary authority that adopts the European Union's budget. The Council of the European Union plays an important role in negotiating and concluding agreements between member states of the European Union and third countries or international organizations. The European Commission is the executive arm of the European Union and the guardian of the treaties. It defends the interests of the Union as a whole by ensuring that all member states respect the treaties and the laws of the European Union. The Commission is appointed for a period of 5 years after approval by the European Parliament. The Commission is politically accountable to the European Parliament, which can force it to resign if it accepts a motion of censure. The European Commission has the right of legislative initiative, i.e., it proposes legislation to the European Parliament and the Council for adoption. It manages and implements the Union's policies and budget and is the guardian of the treaties. It monitors the application of the law and represents the Union at international level. The Court of Justice of the European Union interprets EU law to ensure its uniform application in all member states and settles legal disputes between member state governments and the EU institutions. It was established in 1952 and has its seat in Luxembourg. It consists of the Court of Justice, which deals with requests from national courts for preliminary rulings, as well as with actions for annulment and appeals, and the General Court, which hears all actions for annulment brought by individuals, companies, and, in certain cases, by member states of the European Union. The Court of Justice is composed of 1 judge from each member state, and the General Court is composed of 2 judges. The European Central Bank started operating on 1st January 1999, and its main role is to conduct the monetary policy of the euro area. The member states that have adopted the euro as their single currency have delegated responsibility for monetary policy to the ECB. In 1999, the euro area consisted of 11 member states: Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Portugal, Finland, Spain, and France, followed by Greece in 2001, Slovenia in 2007, Cyprus and Malta in 2008, Slovakia in 2009, Estonia in 2011, Latvia in 2014, Lithuania in 2015, and Croatia in 2023. At the same time, the European system of central banks is established, consisting of the central banks of the member states. The Court of Auditors' main objective is to improve the financial management of the European Union and to promote accountability and transparency. It is the independent guardian of the financial interests of the citizens of the Union and carries out audits of both bodies and persons managing European funds. The members of the Court of Auditors are 1 from each member state and are appointed by the Council of the European Union after consulting the European Parliament for a renewable 6-year term of office. The President shall be chosen from among these members for a renewable term of 3 years by a 2/3 majority. The European Economic and Social Committee is an advisory body set up in 1957 by the Treaties of Rome, which gives opinions. It is composed of representatives of employers and workers' organisations and other interest groups and is based in Brussels. Its main objective is to promote European integration in the context of participatory democracy and to strengthen the role of interest organisations and civil society. The European Committee of the Regions is an advisory body of the European Union, consisting of the elected local and regional representatives of the 27 member states. Established in 1994, it is based in Brussels and issues opinions on union legislation.